everyone. Welcome to my podcast. I am Belle Wolfe. I go to Antonian College Prep, and today I will be talking about the 7 S's of a crime scene. The 7 S's are part of the investigation process and are different parts of the CSI, crime scene investigation. We use this to handle the crime scene correctly so all evidence can be approved by a judge. But most importantly is whom we may see at our crime scene. At the crime scene, you will see police and possibly a district attorney. A DA may also be present to issue warrants. You will see the CSI, which we also call the crime scene investigators. They will document the scene in detail and collect evidence. Medical examiners will be on the scene to determine the COD. We also call the medical examiners the coroners. The detectives will be present to look for different leads, interview witnesses, and talk to the CSI. Lastly, specialists will be present to collect technical investigations of all types of crime scenes. In order to be able to handle a crime scene correctly, these 5 different teams and people follow something called the 7 S's. These are the 7 S's: securing the scene, separating witnesses, scanning the scene, seeing the scene, sketching the scene, searching the scene, and securing and collecting evidence. As each one of these 7 S's have their own role in the investigation, we will see how each one is used and when to use them. Firstly, we have securing the scene. The first officer who arrives at the crime scene is required to preserve and protect the area as much as possible. The first priority is to always give medical assistance for individuals who are in need, and they are also to arrest the perpetrators immediately. Once everyone is safe, there should be no unauthorized persons on the scene. You may see ropes, tape, or barricades along with strategic positioning of guards will also help prevent unauthorized persons from access to the crime scene. Lastly, all people who enter onto the crime scene must be documented with the time and date they entered and exited the crime scene. The second S is separating the witnesses. All witnesses should not be allowed to talk to each other. This helps to prevent witnesses from working together and to avoid one witness getting influenced by another witness. Next is scanning the crime scene. In this step, this is where investigators and first responding officers will do a quick scan of the scene, and then they continue to mask evidence with the evidence markers. A more in-depth and thorough search will be done at a later time. The purpose of this step is to allow all records of the scene to be made quickly and efficiently. The fourth S is seeing the crime scene. This step is when a trained forensic photographer photographs the evidence that has been marked. Anytime any new evidence is marked, more photographs will also be made. The next step is sketching the scene. Once all the photographs have been made, the crime scene investigators will make a sketch of the crime scene. This sketch will help to show the size and dimensions of the scene, and this also helps to show the location of all evidence found. The sketch should always match the photographs, and the evidence markers in the sketch should perfectly align with the evidence markers in our photographs. Next is searching the scene. Searching the scene is important because it is when a detailed search starts to happen and it focuses on finding all possible evidence. In this step, a search pattern will be declared and the investigators will work together to ensure that there is no part of the crime scene that will be left unsearched. When the new evidence is found, it will be added to our past few steps of being photographed and documenting the sketch. The last step and the most important step is securing and collecting evidence. In this step, physical evidence can be any evidence from massive to microscopic traces. All evidence must be collected and secured in its original state and its integrity maintained. Each item of evidence will be handled carefully and wrapped separately. This helps prevent cross-contamination. The search for evidence is not limited to only the crime scene. Investigators will be very careful and gentle to handle and process evidence in a way that prevents any change from happening between the crime scene and the crime lab. All must wear disposable gloves. Evidence must remain unmoved until investigators have documented its location and appearance in notes, sketches, and photographs. Crime scene investigators will have a large assortment of packaging materials and tools, ready to package a diverse array of evidence. The chain of custody is the process of protecting evidence from the crime scene to the crime lab. According to the chain of custody, the correct way for evidence to be packaged is appropriate packaging should be used, packaging should be sealed with evidence tape, there must be a signature on the evidence, and sealed with evidence tape, and the seal must never be broken. But if the evidence must be processed, the evidence must be removed without puncturing the signed evidence label. And lastly, a chain of custody log must be filled out. The signature on the log must match the signature on the evidence labels. In the event that evidence is found that is very tiny, investigators will use what we call a bindle to secure the evidence correctly. A bindle will ensure that evidence isn't lost. The next steps are that once evidence is collected, it will be sent to a crime lab for further analysis. They must place new evidence in a package with a new evidence seal so that the integrity of the evidence is maintained. If they fail to do so, the evidence will result in inadmissibility in the court. That is all for today's podcast. I hope everyone enjoyed it, and thank you for listening.